Hey y'all, and welcome to the cutest little thing. My name is Andrea, and I'm so glad you are here today. I love all things thrifted, vintage, upcycled, and DIY'd, and here on my YouTube channel, you will find all of those things. I'm from southeastern North Carolina, and I have 2 vendor booths in my local small town where I sell my crafts and DIY home decor. And here I will share all of the video tutorials of those pieces. I'm super excited for today's project, so let's get started. I was so excited to share this project with y'all. Y'all know how I love working with scrap wood. Anything scrap wood is amazing what you can make with it. And I had several of these fence pickets in my stash. So I had an idea this morning. So I went out and grabbed a couple of those fence pickets. They were a little too long. So I just took my jigsaw and marked where I needed them cut, marked the length that I needed them, and just cut them with my jigsaw. And they were ready to take into my craft room and get to work. Once on my craft table, I grabbed in a pickle in the Sweet Pickins milk paint, and I mixed equal parts powder to water. If you're not familiar with milk paint, or if you've never tried it, it is so much fun to work with, and you just never know the outcome that you're going to get. And I am a retailer for the Sweet Pickins milk paint. You can contact me over on my Facebook business page for your orders. Once that paint was good and mixed up, I went ahead and put a good full coat all over both of the fence pickets. I just love this color green. The Sweet Pickins milk paint has lots of green tones to choose from, but In a Pickle is one of my favorites. Once that paint was good and dry, I took both of those pickets and crisscrossed them over one another, and I took my Titebond Quick and Thick to glue them. Now, I did mark where I needed my pickets to go back once I put my glue down, just to know exactly where to press them together, because I'm going to use a little bit of the Titebond, and then I use a little bit of hot glue as well for that instant hold. I place those pickets right back together, give it a good squeeze, tap it on the table just to make sure the bottom part of it is even and it will stand up even. And next, we're already ready to embellish this with our bow. If you haven't guessed already, we are making the cutest Christmas skis out of these fence panels. I just think these are so cute and they're so easy to make. I took this wired ribbon. I've had it in my stash a while, so I can't remember where I got it from, but I do like to work with wired ribbon for my bows. And once I got all the loops made, how many I wanted made, I just took this tie wrap and tied that together and clipped off that excess, and that gives it a really sturdy hold. I laid those loops to the side and grabbed these Christmas picks. I got these from Walmart. They were, I believe, $1.24, but I wanted to put down some greenery before my loops, and I'm using my heavy-duty staple gun to staple these in place. And I will try to find a link for this staple gun and put it in the description of the video. I absolutely love it, and it's so easy to use. Once I got those picks stapled in, I grabbed some more little pieces of pine that I had just to fill in those gaps, and I got it all situated where I wanted them to go on my board and stapled them down as well. And I did clip those pine cones off because our bow is going to go in the middle, and then we can reattach these cute little pine cones later. Now we're ready to attach the base of our bow. These loops are going to be the base of our bow. So I put it down in the center, and where that tie wrap was is where I used my stapler to staple that into the board. I gave those loops a good little fluff, and now we're ready to finish off our bow. So I grabbed my bow maker, and the website for this bow maker will be in the description of the video. I grabbed some homespun fabric, my favorite, tore some strips, and I began looping those fabric strips into my bow maker. And you just keep looping and adding fabric strips until you are happy with the size and the thickness of your bow. And once you're happy with it, pull up on those jute strings and give it a good tie. I do like to tie a double knot just to give that bow an extra hold. cut away those excess jute strings, or you can use the jute strings to tie onto your piece. But in this case, we're going to hot glue our bow in place. And to embellish the center of this bow, I took a strip of the red and white fabric and tied a simple shoestring bow and hot glued that right in the middle of the bigger bow. And I love how the bow turned out. Now, I did want to add a cute tag to this. I got these white wooden tags from Hobby Lobby. I didn't repaint it. I just took some of that green paint I already had mixed up, and I went around the edges of the tag. And while that paint was still wet, I took a baby wipe and went over that, just giving that tag a green hue to it. I grabbed a cute label that I purchased from an Etsy shop and printed it on my regular inkjet printer. I put Mod Podge on the back of that and decoupaged that onto the tag. Gave it a quick dry with my heat tool, and I'm going to tuck that in right in those loops in our bow. I did add just a little dollop of hot glue and stuck those jute strings in that hot glue, and then place those bow loops right over that. Just kind of tuck it away and hide it in there. And I did want to add some rusty bells. I get these rusty bells from Amazon, and the products used in today's video will be linked in the description. So be sure you check out the description for all the links to these products. And I tucked those bells in the bow just like we did the tag, but on the other side so they could hang down under the bow. And y'all, look how cute this is. I already love it like this, but y'all know me, I love the vintage, worn, old look. So I grabbed my dark antique wax and a brush and lightly went over the entire piece, the front and the sides. I didn't worry about the back. But you just take your brush, you can offload your wax just like you can offload paint, and rub it in to your piece. And you can apply as heavy or as light as you would like. And then you can always wipe away some of the excess with a dry paper towel. And for this piece, I almost did a dry brushing technique with my wax, and then I went back over it in a circular and back and forth motion, rubbing it in. And I really liked how that turned out. And that completes this project of our cute skis. You could also add a hanger onto this if you wanted to be able to hang it on the wall or hang it under your porch somewhere on a fence post. But I love it just leaning up on a shelf or maybe down beside a fireplace. And you can make these different sizes. You could make them smaller. I also made a larger set on a Facebook Live. You may have joined me for that a couple of weeks ago. If not, definitely check that out. But I just love how this turned out. I am so glad you're here today, and I hope you're enjoying today's video. If you are and you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll do that before you go. Hit that notification bell, choose all notifications so you don't miss a thing. All right, let's get back to the DIYs. After I did several sets of skis, I had a lot of little pieces of scrap wood that I had cut off to make the skis. So again, y'all know we can always make something with scrap wood. So don't throw it out. You can definitely turn it into a beautiful piece of home decor. So I grabbed these little pieces of wood. I grabbed some milk paint in the color Red Wagon. This is also the Sweet Pickins milk paint, a beautiful red color. I painted all of my pieces of wood in this beautiful color. And I did just need one coat. The one coat did fine on this wood. Now, when you use milk paint and you paint on wood, wood is more of a porous surface. It's more dry. Just think of it as being thirsty. It's going to soak in a lot of your milk paint and give you less of a chipping effect. So if you want more of that chipping, you can apply wax before your paint, or you can sand it a little or use a scraper to get more of the chipping. Now, if you haven't guessed yet, we are making cute stackable presents, and I just glued those two pieces of wood together. The top piece is a little bit smaller than the bottom piece, And I just used hot glue. These pieces of wood aren't heavy. The hot glue will hold just fine. You could also use Titebond if you would rather. And then I started wrapping a piece of jute string. You saw where I put the dab of hot glue to get my jute string started. And you can wrap it as many times as you would like until you get the look you want. And then you just cut that string and add you a little more hot glue to hold that string in place. Now we're doing the same technique and just running that string around in the opposite direction. And you could also use fabric for this, little pieces of fabric strips or narrow pieces of ribbon. But I did want more of that rustic look using the scrap wood, so I decided to use the jute. Once you're satisfied with how your little presents are wrapped, we're ready for a bow. The bow is going to be the centerpiece of this. It's going to be the main embellishment. So I am using homespun fabric strips to make my bow, but you could use any ribbon or any fabrics that you have on hand or whatever colors would match your Christmas decorations in your home. And begin looping that fabric. You don't want your bow too big, but you want it to be nice and full. And I did do 2 different pieces of fabric. After you get it good and tied, you're ready to hot glue it on the top of your present. And you can embellish your bow. I did have these little pieces of gingerbread embellishments that I got from Amazon. They've got cute little gingerbreads and gingerbread houses, ornaments, Christmas trees, all kinds of cute things in there. I will link that in the description below. I just gotten this in the mail that day, so I did want to get it into a little organizer jar really quick. I just love putting my things in glass jars. Next, I grabbed some greenery pieces for these little presents. I had some cypress pieces and also some pine picks. Both of those came from Amazon, and I also had some greenery that I got from Hobby Lobby. And I cut the greenery pieces really small. You can use wire cutters, and some types of greenery you can use your regular scissors to cut. And then I would just hot glue each little strip underneath the bow, kind of tuck it in. And I also love to use different variety of greenery. So I'll use 2 or 3 different kinds. And I just love how that looks and goes together. I think it just makes the piece. I not only added greenery pieces coming out of each side of the bow, but I also added a few pieces coming out of the top and the bottom. I just loved it all the way around the bow. Next, we're going to add a cute tag. Of course, a present has to have a tag. I got these little mini tags from Amazon, and I have these little stamps that I purchased from Temu a couple of years ago. This one has little ornament stacks, so that's the one I used because it fit those small tags. So I stamped that, and then I took my ink pad and just went around the edge of my tag, and I simply hot glued that to my bow, just nestled it into the base of that bow. And I just love how this looks. I did grab a small piece of sandpaper just to scuff up the very edges of my present, just to get some of that natural wood tone to pop through that red paint color. I love a good distressed look on my wood. And to take it a step further, I grabbed my bare dark wax, the antique wax, grab me a little brush. You can offload your wax just a little bit. And I did want to deepen the color red of these presents just to give them more of that vintage look. So I went over with my wax. You can let it sit for just a few minutes and then you can wipe back the excess. But a lot of times I will just blend. I'll take that same brush that I apply the wax with, and when there's none left on the brush, I'll just continue brushing my piece and blending in that wax. And this is also sealing in our milk paint. Milk paint does not have a built-in sealer, so this wax is also giving our piece that protection from the elements. And I made several of these present stacks this day. The possibilities are endless with these. You can do them all different colors, and you can also embellish them with, like I used a gingerbread on that first one we made. And on some, I embellished with a rusty star. You could also use rusty bells. You can use all different colors and types of fabrics. You could also add, well, you don't even really need to add a hanger to add these on your Christmas trees and use them as ornaments. You could sit them up on the branches, or you could take one of the little wire hangers and stick it through the piece of jute string that we wrapped around our presents and hang them on your tree. These are perfect for your tiered trays. The possibilities are endless with these, y'all. I just love them. They're too cute, and you're using up what you would normally just throw in the trash. It's definitely a trash to treasure piece. Y'all let me know what you think of these and if you will be trying them. And here they are, all staged up. I just thought they were cute to sit under the Christmas tree and to sit on that fuzzy tree skirt. These are just too cute. And I did make some, and I used some green paint. Those were really cute. I did not get a picture of those before they sold, unfortunately, but they were just as cute as these. And the red popped even more on that green. And some of you may saw them on my auction. I hope you love these as much as I do. That's a wrap for our scrap wood projects. I hope that you love them as much as I do. They were so fun to make, very easy to make. Those fence pickets, I forgot to mention that you can grab those from Home Depot and I believe Lowe's for just a couple of dollars each. So if you don't have any, wood laying around that you could use to make those, just head to your local Home Depot or Lowe's and grab that wood for just a couple of dollars. And then the excess that you cut off, you can make those cute Christmas presents with. But I do want to apologize that it's been a while, a couple, maybe even 3 weeks since I've gotten a YouTube video out. I did get sick and lose my voice, so I couldn't do my voiceover and all of that. But I am better. I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving, and I cannot believe we are already into December, and I have so many projects and ideas that I want to share with y'all, and just, different things that I put in my booth for Christmas and things that sell really well for me. So I'm going to try to get these videos out just as quick as I can. So my YouTube video schedule is just going to be off for the month of December. So just bear with me because I want to get these ideas out to y'all just as quickly as I can. But I hope y'all have a blessed night, a blessed rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the next video. Let's take a look at those finished projects one last time. Have a blessed day, friends. See you next time.